Ready to begin? Today I'm going to tell you the story of Peter. This is a real story, and this happened in Russia. So therefore, his actual name was Piotr. Since Piotr was a little kid, he loved music, he loved poetry. His first compositions were at 4 years old. Mom and dad were so happy seeing his kid playing the piano. We need to remember this story happened in the 19th century in Russia, so there were no institutions for studying professionally as a musician. And therefore, Piotr had to go to the Imperial School of Jurisprudence in St. Petersburg. And also, he had to work as a clerk in the Ministry of Justice. But he still wanted to make music. He loved so much music. Although his teacher said to him, "You have no talent." Although he was very afraid of the stage, he suffered from sonic panic. His hands turned so red, he needed to hide them with white gloves. There were no possibilities of becoming a musician. But Piotr told to his father, "Dad, remember this. One day you will be feeling proud of me." And that was the day Piotr took the driver's seat in his life. And he wasn't wrong. Some years after that, he will become famous, and now everyone have heard his name. Yes, guys, this is the story of Piotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. So everyone have heard his name. Now, I would like to tell you some interesting lessons we can learn from his life. Lesson number 1. Inspiration is a guest that does not willingly visit the lazy. As you may understand, the first job of Tchaikovsky was as a music teacher. 10 hours a day, a very low wage, and more obligations than benefits. It wasn't an ideal job. Maybe he didn't like it, but he had to work extra to show people that he actually deserved a lot more. What brings us to the next lesson. You can be the biggest, the juiciest, the sweetest apple in the garden, and there will always be someone who doesn't like apples. This happened also to Tchaikovsky. His music is very famous in the world. It was so strong emotion. It was so open-hearted. He was showing the joys, the loves, the sorrows of every human being. And he also was one of the few composers that was bold enough to put so much of him in his work. It wasn't common. And guess what? There were a lot of Russians who didn't like his work. For them, it was just overwhelming, too emotional. Next lesson. Want to avoid criticism? That's pretty easy. The only thing you need to remember is do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. That's everything you need. As a bonus plus, you can stop breathing and stop existing. And the ideal situation if you just disappear. This is the sugar plum fairy dance. It was criticized for being too edgy. And if you think that at some moment Tchaikovsky's career has stopped the criticism, it never stopped. His work was criticized for not being too nationalistic, for not being too deeply emotionally and intellectually. And if you think that the Swan Lake, was a hit in the premiere, it was a complete failure. The dancers were criticized, the orchestra, the set, everything was criticized, very badly received. And meanwhile, they said that Tchaikovsky's works were too complicated for ballet. Now, can any one of us imagine a company ballet that doesn't have this as an essential of his works, of his repertoire? Also, this dance has been adapted to literature, to musicals, to films, to everything. So, I want to ask you the final lesson. Do you still think that classical music is boring. I mean, it lacks some of action. What do you want? You want some canyons? All right, we'll put some canyons right now. So, it's time to wake up, people. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Thank you very much, guys.